Here's some questions business owners ask me. What should I be investing in, James? What do banks like lending money to? What do you do if you're going through a devilishly difficult patch with not enough cash flow coming in? What if you haven't got a team that can help you? When do you make those hiring decisions? That's all coming up in today's show as JB takes all the questions you've been asking on Instagram and YouTube and he puts them to me. I'll do my very best to answer them. It's a great show. Strap yourselves in. Let's go. Welcome back to the Business Broadcast. Today we are answering your questions. You've left them on YouTube, on Instagram. Chance has gone through the content and found those most awkward questions, and JB's going to ask them to me.
There's some awkward ones as well in here. Ooh.
We're going to do our very best to answer them to help grow your business.
Well, I think this is more about how you grow your business, actually. So it's going to be much more deep dive in that way.
If you'd like to ask us any questions, because we do these Q&As semi-regularly, maybe twice a year.
Semi-regularly?
Semi-regularly, maybe twice a year. Drop us a message on Instagram at James Sinclair Entrepreneur, or you can send it to you, JB, can you? Where do they need to go for
James
that?
Burt Official, but I'll be changing that very shortly to James Burt Loves James Sinclair. Just so it's fully
I
branded.
like James Burt Official.
Do you? Yeah.
So we've got a series of questions.
We have.
Let's fire into it straight away.
We are going to. Right, so Smokey the Staffy says, how do you identify what venture capitalists and private pensions are investing in?
Oh, that's very easy. There's this website that begins with G and ends in Oogle, and I would start there. But
Why does he want to know what they're investing in?
Well, because we always say that. I think that's probably come from us, has it? Chance?
Oh, I see.
I mean, we always say, look, if you want to find out what...
They're not going to invest in a restaurant, but they're going to invest in a...
I mean...
Carry on, sorry.
I think what we're trying to talk about here is in the broad, not in the niche, because you would find a venture capitalist private equity that would invest into hospitality and leisure. But from the broad sense of appeal, what's going on right now, lots of private equity, lots of venture capital, lots of pension funds are putting money into AI. That's a very popular thing. What I try and say to business owners is don't look for the bandwagon, because if you see the bandwagon, it's usually too late and you've missed it. What are they consistently investing in? Because, people that follow my stuff, this is not an AI tech YouTube channel. We're very much into boring, regular businesses that make long-term wealth, that are not yo-yo businesses. There's just lovely consistency. So what are they always investing in? They're always investing in food services, in care, predictable cash flow. They're predicting in stuff that has love, want, and need. There's always a love for it, always a want for it, and always a need for it. But actually, what a better thing is to do, find a commercial bank manager, which I think is much easier than finding a venture capitalist private equity. And, they're both investors, lenders of money. And then you say to a commercial bank manager, if I presented a business to you, what do you know in your heart and mind that you would lend money to easier on? So if you went to a bank manager and say, hey, I'm a dentist, I've been going 20 years, I'm pretty sure that banker will go, I can lend you some money for a mortgage to buy another dentist. If I'm an accountant, if I'm a solicitor, they love that sort of stuff. So find a good commercial bank manager. I'm sure you can find them on LinkedIn or through even a finance broker. A good commercial finance broker will go, these are the top 10 businesses that always get funded. And you know what? I bet you find that private equity and venture capital also like them too.
Absolutely. Good question. Thanks, Smokey the Staffy. London Man 8688 said, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. I think we need a jingle. Hang on, because we've not had a jingle yet. No,
come on. We need a jingle. Come on, sort it out.
Here we go. James seems to be missing an end goal. Goal. When does he walk away?
That's a very interesting one.
You're getting more pensive. You find this harder to answer recently, I think.
Yeah, I think things are never enough for me as an individual. I want to create, I want to build things, I want to do more. There are certainly things that drive my passion lever, not just my wife, in entrepreneurship.
Can you not say passion lever and do that? Do that.
My passion
out.
So hospitality and leisure, although devilishly difficult, does drive the passion lever of James Sinclair. Childcare, doing that very well, drives the passion. Self-storage, I'm very much into this right now.
How are you?
I'm all about self-storage. James Sinclair will have that in his little ecosystem.
Okay.
I do like that.
Passionate
I like
about self-storage. Come on now.
commercial property, which I've always loved. I don't know why, but I think because of the security it gives me, so that if things go wrong, I know that I can lean into that. Food services, making ice cream, so wherever there's creativity and good marketing, where I feel my brain can assist, I want to do more.
Why is that?
I'll come on to, in terms of my business plan that I'm working on at the moment is I want to build £100 million revenue with a 10 to 15 million pound profit. Now at least 10, hopefully 15, and try and drive the efficiencies to do that.
Why?
Because why not? Why not see what you can become, and why not see what you can achieve, and why not see if you can move the world? And because the journey on doing that, you learn a load of stuff, you meet a load of people, and I don't want to be bored. Ultimately, boredom freaks the hell out of me. And if you have a certain base talent, I think you should use it. And here's the other thing, JB. Here's the other thing. I think once you employ lots of people, you have to offer them opportunities, and growth comes through those opportunities. And I can say, like I think about Emma and Chloe that, run the Blue Boar. Emma started for me in Party Man World as, a part-time member of staff. Chloe ran our gift shop at Marsh Farm. Then they became managers of Marsh Farm, and then they become the senior managers here at the Blue Boar. So we could give them career progression. And I do care about those things. For me, it's not just about making loads of money for James Sinclair. And quite frankly, all the money I make, I invest back in and some. So why am I doing it? I think is really ultimately, why not see what you can become and what you can achieve? Maybe that's a little bit of ego. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if it's an ego thing with you. I don't get. You've obviously got an ego because you're a performer at heart as well. So all performers have an ego, but I don't get the sense of. But I do feel like growth for the sake of growing. You get to a point where you have to grow for other people, don't you? Because you can't. You actually now at 2,500 staff, you can't stand still because you are going backwards.
No.
I know a lot of people put that. I think if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. But in your instance, you actually are. So you have to grow. Maybe not as aggressively.
And I think
as
once you become someone like me that has more responsibility than most, I don't know about this. I'd write about this in my newsletter. The universe looks at you and goes, "You are responsible. Have some more responsibility."
Yeah, very true.
Do you know that little phrase, if you want something done, you ask a busy person? I mean, that's very true. Very true phrase. And I mean,
what does the end goal look like though? Because to London Man's question,
to be bored, be passionate about what I do, and work with an amazing set of people.
That's not an end goal though, is it? That's just that's the end goal.
Yeah, to work with amazing people that I enjoy working with. To be a commercially profitable enterprise that works without me in it, so that I'm a shareholder chairman of the business. It's run by an effective team that I'm very proud of, and then I can move their lives forward.
Do you, on your busiest days though, do you just think, I go home and see the kids, and I want to go and drive around in my little camper van, and I want to just slow down a little bit? There's the busyness of a business. Do you ever get to the point you're like, why am I so busy?
Well, because I want to really build like the most amazing visitor attractions and holiday parks, and families and everyone have the most amazing time. That's really what I'd love to do next. But to do that with my own resources is what really drives me, rather than venture capital, private equity. And if I build my business to a size that I'm able to do those things, because otherwise it's just a pipe dream, and it's a hope, and hope is not a plan.
No.
So the plan is you build that commercially profitable enterprise that's making those level of profitabilities at that size that allows me to really create the things that I want to create.
Do you, deep question here, feel free to swerve it if you don't answer it, but do you do this stuff for little James Sinclair? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like James Sinclair, the kid who had quite a tough start and had a mum who was poor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
because you always say about the create experiences that families love. Are you trying to make an environment that if younger James Sinclair had walked into it, he'd have had an amazing day out and would have forgotten about the challenges he had for the afternoon?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think there's some elements of that for sure.
I think so. I don't think that's bad. Have you watched the I Like Me, the John Candy documentary?
No.
Oh, watch it. You'll be in bits. But watch it. You are the John Candy of Essex business.
Who's John Candy? Not the fat bloke.
Yeah, the fat bloke.
Is he dead?
Is he dead? He died 30 years ago.
Right. He was in Home Alone, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
He died in 1994. It's an amazing documentary. Ryan Reynolds has just produced it. It's amazing. You should watch it.
Wow.
Because everyone who he touched was lit up by his presence. He just wanted to make people happy, but from a place of trying to heal something. And I was like, I watched it. I actually thought of you last night. I was like, Jimbo's like John Candy. I'm going to call you Jimbo Candy for the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
There we go.
If I didn't do so about my fitness, I would have ended up with a size.
You would have
of
done.
him.
Yeah, but that whole thing is crazy. Anyway, what's the obsession about revenue and revenue per employee? Those numbers only matter depending what the profit is and the number of transactions. One person could turn over 10 million quid selling a few things and make no profit, but 10 million revenue and 10 million revenue per employee sounds good. So what's your obsession with revenue and revenue per employee?
Well, because...
That's Ed Nash, by the way. Thanks, Ed.
I mean, Ed, the reason for that is the obsession with revenue per employee or labour to turnover ratios. We need key performance indicators for our teams that they can grasp and understand. And sometimes working out profit needs to be done by an accounts team. It might be done quarterly, or you get monthly management accounts, or most businesses only ever do it annually. And so what I want is sets of KPIs that management teams can manage. And it's an industry-wide thing. You know, if you work in retail, you're going to have, much lower revenue per employee. If you're a high-end consultancy, accountancy, solicitor firm, you're going to have much higher revenue per employee. And as a rule of thumb, the higher the revenue per employee, the more profitable the business is. And it's a very good key performance indicator. Now, when you go to value a business and go and sell it, if you're a buyer and you go, right, I'm buying that £100 million business and they've got 10 staff, that's 10 million revenue per employee. That's a good marker for business valuation as well.
There you go. There you go, Ed.
So we're looking for dashboard statistics before, so that on a daily basis, you're making sure you're keeping an eye on labour.
And it's a metric you can watch on the daily basis rather than...
Yeah, this is a really good point, and I've been thinking about this a lot over the last year. Why are business owners obsessed with their revenue? This year we're doing 1 million, next year we want to do 2 million of revenue, but they very rarely talk about profit because profit's a little bit harder to work out. There could be a balance sheet, a stock issue, but it needs to be worked out. And you might need a third person, and a numbers person, a bean counter to work that all out for you. So what I've been trying to do obsessively over the last 20 years is create KPIs that I know drive bottom line profit, labour to turnover ratio, increasing spend per head, those two things that I always bang on about usually drive bottom line profit rather than just growing revenue. People talk about revenue growth because they run a pub and they go, today we took $5,000. It's been a great day. It's something that you can to work out the profit. They'd have to go, right, what stock did we sell? What was the gross profit on that liquor, that beer, that food? It becomes a little bit harder to work out. So we use the markers that are easier, the football match was 4-1. It was very easy. 4 goals, 1 goal. And that's how human beings work. So I try and work out simple KPIs that you should track that anyone in the team can work out. And if you do them, usually it drives the bottom line profit.
Good answer. Harry Staker, it's gone very small. Harry Statica. I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly. Hi, James. Do you think AI can replace a cleaning business? No. Okay.
Well, hang a sec.
Hang on a sec.
AI is going to, or technology. Let's put AI and technology. So I met up. One of my playbooks for success is find people that do what you do in different geographical patches. We spoke about this a lot. So a couple of weeks ago, I spent whole day with someone that owns 250 indoor play centres in Europe. And
250?
Yeah.
Wow,
big business, private equity backed, blah, 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 blah. And they're very on labour controls, because labour's getting more and more expensive. So they're trying to find ways of cutting back. So one of the things they have done is they've put, like McDonald's style kiosks on the catering area, less staff needed because staff has got so expensive. But what they've also done is, those Hoovers that
the robot Hoover.
The robot Hoover.
Yeah.
Now they're about £1,000, I think, to buy them to go at your home. Yeah. He's bought a £10,000 one that's like 4 times the size of the one that you need at home that does all the hoovering for a 20,000 square foot play centre. Yeah, per play centre.
Okay.
And he's worked out that saves 3 hours of labour a day on a cleaner, and crucially, it does it better than a human being. Better than a human being, because at the end of the shift, the human being gets tired, so therefore, misses bits, only does just enough. So I do think some of those roboty AI connected stuff will affect some cleaning businesses. I mean, if you're a hotel right now and you're thinking, right, we're spending £100,000 on cleaners a year, could you then get that down to £20,000 a year using AI-driven robots to clean floors? I mean, I think humanoid robots are still a way away, but I've seen these robots that can clean windows now very efficiently. And robots that can do painting. You just literally stick it on the wall and it does it all itself. And so, it would be difficult to do it in here, but if you're building a 20,000 square foot warehouse, and
big square walls,
off you go, and it will save on paint. It will do it much more efficiently, and it will work 24 hours a day. So
wow.
I do think that AI and technology will disrupt a lot of industries. But here's the other thing. People don't want to do those jobs. We've had cleaning companies on that. It's not that they can't get the work. People don't want to do them jobs.
Can't get the cleaners, Well, there you go. Nothing is safe. I thought that was going to be an open and shut case. Alex Lynch, 3683, says, "Hi guys, thanks for the video and I love your content. Can I ask, you make us aware of the desert island between 2 and 10 million quid. If you had, say, a property business trading at 2 million quid, would you still enter the desert land if you then started a second, property business which connects into the existing 2 million quid business and you scaled this up to 2 million quid? So you've got 4 million in revenue, but you've got 2 separate businesses."
I mean, that's very difficult to answer just on the whim on a podcast.
Because the desert bit is not just the number, is it? It's the scale that goes into.
What we talk about here is, just to give context, there becomes points in a business where you have this quandary between, is it sales before operations or operations before sales? So let's go now to big business, venture capital backed business. You look at Meta, Facebook. If anyone's watched the Facebook film,
Social Network,
Zuckerberg, when he was running it, didn't have the money for servers. Things were going well. Everyone wanted to use it, and he needed millions for data servers, programmers, whatever, before it goes to the next level and starts all then making sense. And that happens in small business and big business, and so you either have 2 choices. You either have a big war chest that funds it through that 24 months or quicker if you've got a big enough war chest that you can do it through marketing, you get the right people. Because what businesses have is either constraints on talent or constraints on capital or constraints on the captain, the individual that's running the bloody thing. How good are you at raising talent or attracting talent? How good are you at getting capital? And how good are you at leading a team? So those constraints hold it back. And so when you're in that desert phase, if you haven't got enough capital and you haven't got enough talent, or you can't afford the talent because you haven't got enough capital, it constrains you. And that's why it's like being in the desert.
So in that instance there, the 2 million quid companies rather than going and pushing for 4.
But if you're still the person with only so much constraints on talent and constraints on capital and constraints on how good you are, have you become the best person to do this? Would those constraints be on Warren Buffett running 2 £2 million businesses? No, because he would have a black book of contacts for the best talent to come and help him. and a black book, well, a bank account that's full of money that he could just resource it, and that's not his issues. So really, when we talk about that desert period that lots of businesses go through, what are the constraints? You, talent, or capital? And I think the you thing, JB, is really interesting because I think people can work on that, because the better you become, guess what happens? More talent wants to work for you.
Yeah.
Capital finds talent, i.e. the leader of the business as well.
Great answer. Great question as well. Mr. Trapper28 asks, what I find incredible is that James has the time to do all these podcasts, or is it really about building fame and fortune online?
Well, it's not about building fame or fortune online, because I haven't got a broad audience. Yeah, we've got a niche audience. We are built for entrepreneurs, but not startups.
Yeah.
Not solopreneurs. And as you know, JB, that's most business owners. We really turn those people off because we talk about VAT, borrowing money, employing people, doing the more complicated stuff. We lean into the difficulty, which most people don't want to do. So we have a niche audience of people that are paying VAT, they're very comfortable borrowing money to grow their business, very comfortable employing people. And what we're trying to do is give them golden nuggets to swipe and deploy to help grow their business. I get huge amounts of reward for going out there and doing that, making all this content. Why do I do it? Yeah, it helps me get customers. Yes, it builds a personal brand. Yes, it makes money. It helps me build great connections on a one-to-many basis. It helps me buy businesses, like massively buy businesses.
This is the underrated one that I think a lot of people won't realise.
Yeah, but the leads and opportunities that come to me are so much through doing this content. And then a little bit of ego, digital legacy. You know, something happens to me, you know, there's hours and hours of content that millions of people have watched. You know, my children can say, oh, look, that was my dad. And I do like that.
Yeah, nice.
It's absolutely, I have no interest in being famous.
No.
Famous to a few.
Famous to a few. Makes sense. What's happening here? Asks open question to anyone in the comments. Oh, sorry, no, someone already asked this question. Right, Ben Wilcox 11 said, any tips where to keep an eye out for baby boomer businesses that are for sale?
Well, they're everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. Business brokers, M&A firms, accountancy practices, this other thing called Google, your suppliers if you are in business. And the other thing as well, you know, look, buying businesses is a great way of really accelerating the growth of a business. But I do think people should start a business from scratch because that's so hard to do and it teaches you so much. And you can just go and buy a thing that's already there and you don't have the soft skills, as it were. You know, I am very happy or very pleased I was a sole trader and, you know, done that step. And then I built an agency, and then a swapping time for money agency, I built an entertainment agency, then a play centre, then day nurseries, then a chain of play centres, then a chain of day nurseries, then a small commercial property, then a bigger commercial property. And I went through the steps. And it's now that I do go and buy £10 million businesses. You know, heck, right now I'm looking at a £50 million turnover business.
Are you?
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance that I'm going to do that.
Ooh.
So, you know, but I would never have started with that.
No.
And I do worry about entrepreneurs and business owners, you know, that maybe see what I'm doing. And, you know, there's a little Jimmy Carr phrase that I just think is so much wisdom. People are jealous of what you've got, but they're never jealous of how you've got it. And I think I have done the reps and sets. You know, I know how devilishly difficult it is. And you do need a little bit of difficulty. You do need a little bit of difficulty. And I think the really true successful entrepreneurs, certainly like immigrant entrepreneurs, you know, they come over here and they build massive wealth in generation one, or they go to any country and build massive wealth in generation one because it's so hard and they're so hungry, you know, they win.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point, to start a business before you potentially buy a business. So you actually go through the learning phase. And also on the other point, me and Chuds were talking about this before you got here this morning. I think a lot of people can look at your year 10 And they compare that with their year one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, my content should do this.
Or
I
their
should
year
get this.
20.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, too right.
And I think a lot of people, I'm clinging on to youth.
Yeah.
Just
Holding
coming
on in
into
there.
middle age. But I do think people still think, bloody hell, he's done a lot in a short amount of time. But it hasn't been a short amount of time. I literally started when I was 15, so it's quarter of a century now.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I say I was starting at 15, a lot of people say all that stuff, and I was properly getting going at 15.
Yeah.
By the time I was 16, boom, it was full on, 7 days a week.
Yeah, people disregard that bit, don't they?
Yeah, and by the time
Quarter of a century later, it's worth bearing that in mind when, especially newer sort of startup businesses look and go, how's he done that?
As well, I think, and Warren Buffett has made like 90% of his wealth from age 60 to 85, and he was still very wealthy from 20 to 60,
Wow, interesting.
I don't know. I'm sure someone's going to absolutely
crucify.
I don't know the absolute nuances of that fact, but it's somewhere around that that his compound, once he got past 60, has.
But it goes back to your point that you made earlier. It's that compound of not just financially, but the black book, the connections, the expertise, the authority, the fact that
and how to deal with challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the best phrase, and we've been, me and Chuds have been saying this, and I think it's really resonated with audiences when we've done interesting facts or quote of the week. My favourite one of the year is smooth seas do not make skilled sailors.
Yeah.
And when difficulty turns up, lean into it, absorb it, learn from it. You'll get through it if you want to get through it. It's only your ability not to give up.
Yeah. Good advice.
But don't flog a dead horse. What?
Can you sense the pointed direction in which that comment went?
No. But I mean,
everyone could spot that online.
No. I don't mean. I think you're thinking, am I referring to you? No, I'm referring to everyone. I do stop,
including you, JB.
Well, yeah. So I'll tell you. This year, we had a chain. Over the last 18 months, we had a chain of coffee shops. They weren't making money. 10 years ago, I would have persevered with that and kept going. But I thought, and I would have turned them around. But I thought, do you know what? This isn't worth our time. So we closed them all.
Is there a moment then when
closed the play centre in Southampton because it just wasn't stacking up financially?
And is there so with that sort of situation like the coffee shops, you could. There's pretty much not many situations you couldn't turn around in business realistically if you really wanted to. So what's that moment where you go, this is not worth my and our time to turn this around? Is
basically that. Am I going to be putting, what are you worth? £10,000 an hour to Marsh Farm, improving Marsh Farm, where you would get a much better return on investment on it, or buying a storage park, putting my energy and my few hours that I have for business development into that to get a faster return over turning around something that's struggling.
How long do you sit on that decision for?
Well, the more I've been doing it, the quicker I get at it, and because of reps and sets, And as your business gets bigger, or as you get bigger up in your brain and in your understanding, you go. I mean, look at my property journey, JB. I repel at the idea of going and buying flats and houses, but I love the idea of buying a big industrial estate.
Yeah.
And it takes me the same amount of effort, really, to go and buy a big industrial estate to, a portfolio of 4 or 5 houses. And I think, I don't want to do that. I want to do the thing that's going to get maximum return for time investment.
Yeah.
So what do we call this? In business, you've got return on total capital deployed and return on total time deployed of, your senior leadership team. So if I look at those chain of coffee shops, so let's refurbish them all. Let's put 100 grand into each one. That's £1 million. Let's put my senior people into it, which could be worth a lot more in my time going into it to turn it around. Or could I put that £1 million and all of that time resource into go and open up 3 or 4 more day nurseries? Well, I'd get a fast return on capital. We already know how to do that, and we've got more try, test, and proven models for it. It's a love, want, and need business, and that tips the balance.
Who's the person that you sit down, or the people that you sit down with when you're having that? Do you come to that realization by yourself, or is it like
we all
Leo, your FD, and Aaron and Janks? Everyone's like, Jim, just don't
I
stack.
think I do lead that, but I would get buy-in from them. And sometimes that's the other thing that you have to do as an entrepreneur, like as a business leader, is they might lean into the easy more than the difficulty sometimes too much. Oh, let's just close that. It's not working. And I might see a bright spark and go, no, actually, I think this is worth persevering. So Lee Valley is one of our farm attractions, that has not made money for a couple of years. But there is so much potential there, and we would never do that because there is a playbook that we can answer and deal with.
Yeah. Do you look at it on a case-by-case basis then as well?
Yeah, we always.
Yeah.
So how do you help with the monthly management accounts, effective team, and dashboards? Dashboards that show your spend per head, your daily sales, what you're spending on labour, what did you do last week, what issues are there, what opportunities are there in the business, and what are you going to do next week. And if them things, are the issues are reducing, and what we did last week is getting better, and what we're going to do for what opportunities are getting better, and next week looks better, then you carry on. So that's what I call the lion methodology in business.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
What did you do last week? What issues are there? What opportunities are there? And what are you going to do next week? So I was looking at those coffee shops, last week. Sales are really poor. What issues are there? People are not going to high streets as much. Well, that's difficult for James Sinclair and my team to sort that out. What opportunities are there? Yeah, there are opportunities. We can, open later. And what's it going to be like next week? Probably
the same.
Worse.
Yeah.
Or, and if those, so with Lee Valley, what did we do last week? It was poor. What issues are there? Well, we haven't got enough CapEx spent, so that's my fault. We haven't built enough infrastructure there. What opportunities are there? Boundless opportunities, because we know what we're doing at Marsh Farm and we can replicate it. And actually next week, pre-sales are looking really good and we're going to be up on last year. So we can persevere with that one. Hopefully I'm making sense.
No, it does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. Final couple of questions then. What's happening here? So I misread his question, so I'm going to read it correctly now because it was actually a good question. Open question to anyone in the comments, but we'll point it at you. What resources do you recommend to learn more about digital advertising and lead generation? I've read countless books about direct marketing, but I'm still struggling to find valuable content that goes into the nitty-gritty of digital advertising. Any ideas? I do.
Well, you can spell. Well, I still think if anyone wants to get good at marketing, you need to learn copywriting.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And every year
100%.
that I'm in business, more and more, the skill set of understanding copywriting is going to make you better at digital advertising. It's going to make you better at content marketing. It's going to make you better at podcasts, videos, your emails. It's going to make you better at public speaking. So, get some books on copywriting. What was your point?
Alex Hormozy's content.
Yeah.
The Alex Hormozy books are an absolute playbook for how to run offers and generate leads. It's amazing.
Right. Well,
if you don't,
there's some homework for James Sinclair because I've not read any of them.
It's very, very good. Very tactical, very practical. Literally will walk you through it step by step.
So come on then, let's have the recommendation. What's the book's called, JB?
So he's got 3 of them that he's launched, but I reckon the one that you should jump into is the latest one, which is called $100 Million Offers.
Yeah, I'll see him do that. $100 million offers.
There's a future guest on our podcast.
But can I just say, Alex Hormozy, he is a student disciple of Dan Kennedy. He went to Dan Kennedy's stuff. It even looks like a Dan Kennedy front cover, but better. He's just like, my hero, Jim Rohn. Tony Robbins worked for Jim Rohn and sexied it up. Yeah. Basically, what Alex Hormozy's
done.
He looked at Dan Kennedy and gone, I'm going to make this sexy.
Yeah.
And he has got a body to do it.
He can do it, can't he? Yeah, he's got 3 books. $100 million leads was the first one, $100 million offers and $100 million money models. And there's a potential, future guest on our podcast. I had a chat to him on the phone. And he was saying, I don't really buy into like sort of information, because we was talking about BMC. I don't really normally buy into like the business information space. I've been doing it for sort of 15 years, but I came to Jim's event. I thought it was phenomenal. Like, what an amazing room of people. And he said, I sort of got out of my own way a little bit, and I've liked what that Alex Hormozy was saying. So I read one of his books, and I implemented his bump offer methodology. And one of his sort of ways of doing a sales funnel is to do a bump offer. He said it added 200 grand. So I was like, in a year, it went a week, £200,000 a week in additional sales from.
So what is a bump offer?
So a bump offer is that you offer people. So let's say, for example, this particular person, they do, and he'll talk about it because he's going to come on in a couple of weeks' time, does fragrances. So you might go on and you buy a candle or, for 30 quid, whatever it is. While you're going through the checkout phase, the bump offer is, you've bought this, you might like the matching reed diffuser for £15.
Yeah.
That bump offer, the additional upsell, basically, added another, which he just wasn't doing, added £200,000 a week to his business.
Yeah. Well, Charles, we run Business Masterclass, and we have our bronze ticket, about 500 quid, isn't it, to come to that. And then last year, we put a silver ticket on, which wasn't great, was it? It was just like you get books and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Free books, notebook.
That was about another 70 quid, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
So then we said, well, let's make silver £1,000, which nearly wasn't it? But we add on another event called Investorpreneur. And we sold way more in terms of cash value of those. I mean, a lot of people bought them, didn't they?
Yeah, we essentially sold out another event based off of that, because obviously the silver ticket was incredibly more valuable. It was a whole extra event, so people saw it.
But I think the lesson for us is we put a bit more thinking time into what that bump offer should be, so that what does the audience want, what's their pain, and how do we solve it? And I think that's what we've done there. And I think what a lot of business owners do is they can't be bothered.
What can make me a bit of cash quickly with the least amount of effort?
Well, yeah, or they just won't put the extra 15 minutes of quality thinking time. So in their bump thing, I don't know, that diffusers thing, is something that a candle company should do. But I think all businesses can do that. But you might need a walk in the woods to come up with a really good idea, because when you're around the noise, you don't think of it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good little tagline, a walk in the woods. Got a challenge, walk in the woods. Need some think time, walk in the woods.
Do you know it's scientifically proven that trees help you think better?
Because they give off stuff, don't they?
Yeah,
don't know what the stuff is. That's scientifically back there. Right, final question for today's Q&A session then. Another one from Ben Wilcox. He has got his money's worth out of the questions today, hasn't he? Interesting that you quote that it's expensive to close a business and it would be better to give a business away or to sell it. Can you give some insight or examples as to why this might be the case?
Well, lots. I mean, if you've got a business and you're retiring, you want to close it, and you've got employees, you're going to have to make them all redundant. That's a big cost. If you've got a lease and you want to get out of the lease, you might have to pay a fee to get out of the lease. You've got a 10-year lease and there's 4 years left to remain. And then at the end of the lease, you might have to pay the landlord dilapidations to return the building back to its original state. And that could be many hundreds of thousands of pounds. I've once had a £500,000 dilapidations bill to exit a warehouse. So, just closing a business down, it might not be the answer. And then what about if you are a good person, you've got 20 staff, and you go, I'm afraid it's all finished, guys. The right thing to do is to sell the thing.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you have. I can't even talk. Hopefully you watching or listening to this show has
these Q&A.
They're good, aren't they?
Yeah.
We should do them more. If you would like more Q&A, just put Q&A in the comments bar, which you can do on YouTube and or Spotify.
Yeah.
You can leave us a comment on Spotify now. If you have enjoyed the episode, please feel free to pass the pod on. Pass the pod to one other entrepreneur that you think this will be handy for. Don't bother chucking it all over your socials. We ain't interested in that. Just pass it on to one person. You can click at the right-hand side of most of the apps, and you can click and get the share link, and then you can pass it on to one other person.
Just one little thing that I've got as
well. Whoa, here we go. This big hand action here from James Sinclair.
So we created a new feature. We like a feature on the pod.
Yeah.
Called Post It for a Punt.
Post It for a Punt.
And we in the next episode that comes out, we've got a Post It for a Punt that someone sent in. But if you've got a business that creates a physical product and you would like it featured on the show, and you've got a little story about your business,
nice.
That's our little way of giving back to this entrepreneurial entrepreneurial community. So if you'd like to send it in to Post It for a Punt, Marsh Farm Road, South Woodham Ferrers, Essex, CM3 5WP.
It's like an old BBC children's show.
And if we like it, we'll get it on Post It for a Punt.
Post It for a Punt. It's a dangerously titled feature. I can't wait to see what the Post It for a Punt is. I've seen it in a bag.
Yeah,
I'm hyped for it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again on the next one.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
gang.
If you love the business broadcast, why not come on the show? We're looking for business owners that have got challenges. 3, in fact. And if you're challenged and you would like some help and get your business exposed to the hundreds of thousands of people that view and listen to this show, we'd love to have you on. Get to my website, jamessinclair.net, click on the podcast button and fill in the application form. Tell us about your challenges. And if you're challenged enough and ambitious to grow and you want some help,